Hey everyone, Toast here. So back in December of 2019, I started a blog series detailing my experiences in Destiny from Destiny 1 up till now. I was putting out a chapter every month or so, but I wanted to change gears a bit and do a video series alongside the blog series so people can read and or listen to what's in them. The videos might not be word for word what I put in the blogs, but they'll be pretty damn close. I'm hoping the video series will help display the emotion a bit more. Well, without further ado, my name is French Toast, and this is my Destiny story. Part 1. New Beginnings. Oh man, where do I begin with this? I guess I'll start by talking about how I found out about Destiny in the first place. September 2014, after the game had already dropped. I didn't keep up with the game beforehand, I didn't even know what the hell it was. I'd heard of the game in passing, but that was about it. I was struggling with a breakup with my fiance of 7 years. I lost my house, my family, my car, my job was in jeopardy due to a down schedule. I was worried about my daughter having a broken family. My life was a gigantic mess and everything just kept piling up at the time. I ended up moving in with one of my best friends until I got back on my feet. Shout out to King Cannon and his lovely wife. I was looking for something to help keep my mind off of my ex and everything that was going on at that point in time. When Destiny 1 launched, I was playing a crap load of Call of Duty Ghosts. I mean, that's pretty much all I ever played. I pre-ordered Advanced Warfare because, well, I pre-ordered every single Call of Duty from Modern Warfare on, and I wanted to see how that would stack up. But in the meantime, I needed something new to latch onto since all Ghost did was remind me of my ex. I saw a lot of people playing Destiny and talked to King Cannon to see if he knew anything about it. He didn't really know what the hell was going on with the game. I went out of my way and started asking my Xbox friends that played the game what it was about. They told me it was made by Bungie, the Halo company, and that it was basically a cross of Halo, Call of Duty, and World of Warcraft, whatever that means. As soon as I heard Halo, I was interested. I started calling around to see if any GameStops near me had it. They didn't, of course. Seeing that the 5 GameStops close to me were all sold out, it made me want it even more. Why would a crappy game be sold out everywhere? I eventually gave up on GameStop and went to the happiest place in the world to get a copy. Walmart. Once I got my copy of Destiny, I left Wonderland and sped home doing about 150 miles an hour in a truck that maxed out at about 100. As soon as I downloaded the game, I booted it up and started reading the details on each class. In retrospect, the details don't really even matter. I ended up deciding on my Hunter Master Race and jumped right in. Eventually, I'd end up making all 3 classes and using them, but not till later. The game felt awkward at first because of the lower frame rate and the controls. Ended up finding out later that Green Thumb is basically default Call of Duty control, so I switched to that. But the game was very pretty and looked better and better as I went through it. I beat the story with King Cannon, the Michigan fan, a buddy I met playing Call of Duty Black Ops 2. Once we beat the story, it felt unfinished. I had no idea what the hell was going on with the plot. It felt like an empty shell of a story, like a prank gift. You know the ones you get where you unwrap a brand new Xbox, but it's just a box filled with clothes? Yeah, like that. I didn't like it. I remember thinking, that's it? That there's nothing else? I did some research to see why the story felt so weird. I found out about the original writer leaving Bungie. The remaining staff had to scramble to put a story together to meet their deadline, and whatever that story was what we got in the game. This led me down the rabbit hole of things cut from the game or walled off from the game, and we ended up getting in DLCs later that we had to pay for. And it wasn't exactly something that I was fond of. After going down the rabbit hole for a few days, I decided not to dwell on the behind-the-scenes stuff and left it all in the rear view. I figured it was a lost cause even though I expected more from the company that made Halo. Started to look toward what else there was to do outside of the story. I tried my hand at PvP and got absolutely destroyed my first couple of games, so I avoided that arena for a while. It was apparent that my Call of Duty prowess didn't exactly add up to being good at Destiny PvP. I tried strikes and they were fun for a little bit, but they got really boring and really repetitive after a while. I found out about the loot cave and ran that for a bit. Sat on a hill killing things for hours hoping for a legendary engram, which at the time could reward you with a blue rare drop and not a legendary, which didn't really sit well with the community and Bungie had to fix that in a hurry. I farmed the loot cave for a while and got a few drops from it. I got a couple legendary weapons that I used all the time. The Lord High Fixer hand cannon and the Shadow Price AR. Those things never left my inventory. I didn't get my first exotic for a while. I don't even remember where I got it from, but the first exotic drop I got was the Patience in Time Sniper. And I used that pretty much every activity I was in. I remember trying to solo the Nexus Mine Nightfall out of pure boredom. Still to this day I don't remember if I actually beat it. Pretty sure I did. I ended up missing out on Zercel and Galahorn and didn't get that until I was well on my way through the Vault of Glass, but we'll get to that later. I farmed the loot cave for a while and ended up getting bored of the game after doing that. I mean, sitting on a hill shooting ads as they spawn isn't exactly what I would call fun, but I got better drops than the actual activities in the game, so I just stuck with it. The story felt unfinished, the game content didn't have much replay value, I had nothing to do. The game's supposed to be a multiplayer looter shooter, and you're supposed to have more fun with friends. The problem was I didn't have a lot of friends that wanted to play anymore. They all got bored and lost interest in the game for the most part. Around that time that everyone stopped playing is when my Call of Duty buddy Bison mentioned the raid. I had no idea what he meant when he said raid. He said it was the hardest thing in the game to do. I thought he was exaggerating. I mean, everything in the game up to that point was pretty easy and straightforward. Even the higher tier content was pretty easy. I thought we could do the raid with 3 people. Me, King Cannon, and Bison. But Bison insisted that we go in with 6. We started rallying more people we never played with, which is when I met my dude Mac, shout out to him. After a while, we finally got a team of 6 together about 2 weeks after the raid dropped. We went in and we failed miserably. We didn't even open the gate to get into the Vault of Glass. We spent a few hours trying to beat it and people had to leave, so we ended up stopping. It goes without saying, but we were definitely not prepared to run that raid yet. We were way under-leveled and we were way under-equipped. When we went to orbit after failing for a few hours, I had one goal, to master the raid. I was obsessed with it. This was the thing that renewed my interest in the game and to this day is the #1 reason I still play Destiny. After we got our collective asses kicked, I decided to put my Google PhD to good use and look up the raid and how to do it. I got neck deep in the research and wow, it was much bigger than I expected. I started to get that helpless feeling and I remember thinking, we're never going to beat this. We are definitely not skilled enough to beat this. I never spoke up and just pressed on trying to remain positive for everyone else. We finally opened the vault and got into the first actual encounter. From then on, it was like a system. We'd take a couple days to prep, watch some videos, look up some strats, see what to do, take a few stabs at it, then regroup the next day if we failed. I absolutely adored this about the raids. I love the teamwork aspect of it. I love seeing everything come together, seeing people do different things just to make it work. I love the puzzles, solving the puzzles, the feeling you got from doing that. I absolutely loved raids because of this. I was excited to get on every day and try to run the raid. I was excited to see how far we could get each night. Unfortunately, due to people's schedules, it turned into a game of finding new people. King and I were the only 2 people that remained from the original group that started the raid, and we ended up beating it together. Unfortunately, it turned into a game of people finding other teams to do it because they didn't have the time, or they ended up joining us to get a Sherpa through the raid because we already knew what we were doing. Since we had to pick up new people, that prompted us to go back and teach them the whole raid up to the point where we were at. So we ended up backtracking quite a bit and doing the previous encounters. This is what prompted me to make my Warlock and my Titan. I did it so that way I could try to get to level 30 a lot more efficiently. Trying to do it on one character wasn't exactly the best way to do it, and having more chances at weapons that we needed to get up to level 30 was way better, especially since the Forever 29 meme was a thing. We finally got a team together and we finally made it to the final boss, Atheon. We spent quite a bit of time getting there and quite a bit of time beating it once we got there, but it was fun. It took us about 3 weeks of trial and error, learning, teaching, grinding, going back and doing the same old encounters a few times, but we finally beat the Vault of Glass on October 12th, 2014. Fire team was me, King, Michigan Fan, Ammo Sparty, and 2 LFG guys who I don't recognize their gamer tags. The rush I got from finally beating it made me want more, and I kept going. Playing with LFG groups, looking for more people to play with. All I did from the time I beat Vault of Glass until the Dark Below came out was hit the vault as much as I could, chasing that last piece of level 30 gear. It was late in the year, it was getting cold, and most of my days were spent inside, so you can imagine why I'd need something to keep my mind off of everything that was piling up at the time. I did do strikes and other things, but my heart belonged to the Vault of Glass. Until the next chapter. Hey everyone, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Took me a little bit longer than I anticipated to get this done, but it is done nonetheless. I've got a couple more of these coming out. I'll be putting them out alongside the blog post that I have put up. I have 4 chapters completed right now. I'll put the link in the description to the first one, and you can just go from page to page checking them out if you'd like to do that. Again, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, rating, and subscribe. Thanks.